in order to connect to a Linux server using SSH, we can use either SSH password or SSH key, which makes it very simple and easy to connect to the server. As the first step, I'm going to show you how to connect normally to the server. So in order to do that, you enter SSH and then -P to enter the port, which by default is 22, so you can skip this. But if you have a port different than 22, you need to pass this flag, the -P flag. So then I enter the username and then the IP address or the domain name defined on the server. So my server address is this. I already have a Linux server running inside VirtualBox. So I enter its IP address, which is this. You can see it asks me to enter a password, which is the password of the user Mehdi that is defined on the Linux server. Now I'm inside the server. You can see, I can see, for example, the OS information here is Fedora 42 running on the Linux server. Now I exit it. I'm going to define an SSH key that will allow me to connect to the server without using a password. So the first step is to define a key like this. SSH Keygen is the application that we use to create such a key pair. By key pair, I mean we will have two keys, the public key and the private key. So with each key generation, you create this pair and then you copy the public key to your target server. This will allow that server to recognize you as a recognized user and will allow you to connect to it. So SSH keygen and then -T to specify the algorithm that we use to generate the key, which I use RSA, and then a comment to recognize this key, to distinguish this key from other keys. So I say, for example, VirtualBox or Fedora on VirtualBox. And then the path where I want to create the key. I created in this directory SSH and then ID RSA VBox. I named the key like this, ID RSA VBox. This is a conventional way to name your keys. First ID and then underline or underscore the algorithm and then some suffix to recognize the key and distinguish it from other keys. So I press return, and because I already have a key with that name inside this directory, I'm gonna select to overwrite it because I want to teach you that again. So I press yes, and then it asks me to enter a passphrase. You can skip that. You can leave it empty in order to have no passphrase, but it is recommended to have a passphrase. A passphrase allows you to have more secure keys. So I leave it empty in order to have a simple login because this is a trusted environment. I have the server running inside VirtualBox and I have no problem connecting to it without a passphrase. But if it is a remote server, I recommend that you use this with a passphrase so that if someone has a copy of your private key, will not be able to connect to your server. So I didn't enter passphrase. Again, I leave it empty and press return, and our key is created. So we can check the key with cat ssh idrsa vbox.pub. You can see we have two keys, two pair of keys, actually one pair of two files for a single key. For two keys actually. This is the public key for this identity, and also we have a private key without a suffix. You can see IDRSA vbox, which is the private key, and IDRSA vbox.pub, which is our public key. You should never share your private key with anyone. All you do sometimes is exchanging your public key with someone, sharing your public key with someone you trust. So let's see the content of our public key. This is the content of our public key. Now, in order to make our public key known to our remote server, which is this server, I'm gonna use this command, SSH copy ID. And I can use the port or skip it because the port is 22 by default. And then the username and IP address 170. So it says one key remain to be installed. If you are prompted now, it is to install the new keys. So it asks me to enter the password for this user on the server. So I enter my password for that user the first time, and the key was added to that server. Now, in order to test if we are able indeed to connect to the server with a key that we defined, with the key that we defined without using our password, this means that we have been successful in adding our key to the remote server. So SSH-I, which refers to the identity file or our private key. So I enter the path to my private key, IDRSA vbox, and then the address of the server. Note that I didn't enter the username because my username on the host is the same username that I have on the server. So you can skip that. Whenever you connect to an SSH server and your username that is currently on the host system, the same as the username on the remote server, you can skip adding your username. There we go. You can see we were able to connect to the server without entering a password because it didn't ask us for a password. And to make sure we are on the server, let's see the OS information. You can see it is Fedora 42, which is this host, this virtual OS running inside VirtualBox. Okay, let's exit the server. So in this video, you learned how to create an SSH key and then copy it to your remote server so that you will be able to connect easily to your remote server with that key without using a password. I hope that you enjoyed this video and see you in the next one.